Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. Guys, we're taking a look at the New York Islanders today, as the Islanders are in the news again today, but for the wrong reasons. The New York Islanders captain Anders Lee is on the long-term injured reserve. He had a tough hit last week against Pavel Zacha in one of their games against the New Jersey Devils. And now the New York Islanders captain is benched for, I'm going to assume, potentially the rest of the regular season. A huge loss for the Islanders. He had 13 or 14 goals on the season. He was playing really well for the Isles, and this is a huge loss to a team that already lacked offensive talent up front. Now with Anders Lee out of the lineup, it's gotten a lot worse for the Islanders. But the good news is we saw Kiefer Bellows step in the other night for the Islanders against the Devils, and he picked up 2 goals in his first game back. Obviously, throughout the season, he has taken a lot of heat from head coach Barry Trotz, and he has since come back and played very well for the New York Islanders. So now it brings up the question, with Anders Lee out of the lineup for the foreseeable future, the New York Islanders, who were considered a buyer at the trade deadline for this year, sitting third best or first. They're tied for first in terms of points in the entire NHL. You can make an argument that the Islanders should be now hardcore buyers at this year's deadline. So, with Lou Lamoriello having no cap space, big zeros for cap space for the New York Islanders, the Islanders are going to have to make some moves if they want to get a deal done. But there are plenty of suitors out there that could maybe work with the Islanders. So we're going to be taking a look at the Islanders today in this video. So obviously, guys, like I've mentioned before, things change very, very quickly. So we're looking at the Islanders here. So we've heard recent reports from the fourth period that the New York Islanders and Pittsburgh Penguins have been linked to Nashville Predators forward Victor Arvidsson. Now, Victor Arvidsson carries 4 or 5 more years left at a little over $4.5 million per season. This is a very good contract, and he's not a rental. He is a long-term piece to your future. Now, he may not be the most attractive option in terms of points per season. He's definitely struggled the last 2 years in Nashville. But in terms of having stability, he's a guy that you could throw in your top 6, maybe on your third line at some points. He's a really talented player. He can score goals, which is exactly what the Islanders need, and the Islanders could get him from the Nashville Predators this year. But with competition with the Pittsburgh Penguins at this moment, we've also heard the Calgary Flames tied to Victor Arvidsson as well. So the Islanders will absolutely not be the only suitors for Victor Arvidsson. Heading back to the East Coast, though, the New York Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers have also been linked to New Jersey Devils forward Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri, according to the fourth period, Kyle Palmieri is on the final year of his contract with the New Jersey Devils. So we assume that he will leave the Devils at very least at this year's trade deadline, but maybe even sooner than that. So, I'm sorry, guys, my mouth, what the fuck? I don't know what that was. My mouth just froze on me. But anyway, so those are some of the guys we've been hearing. Specifically, Kyle Palmieri and Victor Arvidsson this week. But don't be surprised if we hear some other names. Filip Forsberg potentially coming to the conversation. And there's other guys as well, which I don't want to say. Guys like Jake Virtanen in Vancouver. I don't really want to see those guys come to the Islanders. But, like I said, the Islanders are looking at Kyle Palmieri, Victor Arvidsson, and I think they're keying on Filip Forsberg because Filip Forsberg seems to be the big catch. And the thing is with Filip Forsberg, he has $6 million being paid this year and $6 million next. So the Islanders have a little bit of term there. They can figure out during the summer if they want to keep him long term. The only issue is you have $6 million that you have to pay him, and the Islanders do not have that cap space. You know whose contract would have to go the other way? That's right, Andrew Ladd. And the Islanders, $6 million, right? I think he's making $6 million. Let me check that real quick, guys. Andrew Ladd. Okay, so he's making $4 million this season, and then $5.5 through next year and the year after that. So, yeah, not a pretty spot for the Islanders, but they have to find a way to move out some of this cap space if they want to go for a guy like Kyle Palmieri, like Filip Forsberg, even a Victor Arvidsson. The Islanders are going to have to get some money moved out. And Leo Komarov is getting paid $1.9 this year and $3 million next year. The Islanders are going to definitely not like the back end of Leo's deal. They also have Thomas Hickey, which they're paying over $1 million this year and over $2.5 million next year. So there is ways for the Islanders to move out some cap space. The question is, who is going to be willing to do that, and what is going to be the price? Because now teams are, in a world where the NHL salary cap has been flat for now 2 years and potentially another 3 or 4 years. This is a tough situation for the league, and a team like the Islanders, who has a little bit of cap trouble now, we're seeing that start to take effect. But the good news is, because Anders Lee's $7 million comes off the books, technically, he's on long-term injured reserve. The good news is for the Islanders that they have the money, if they want to spend on a guy potentially like Forsberg. But they still would probably like to move some money the other way. But again, that's next year's problem. Next year's problem was just get through this year's regular season. Now, this actually might be a good thing for the Islanders, like I mentioned, because once, if Anders Lee misses the rest of the regular season, his salary cap does not count. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, you're seeing this right now with Nikita Kucherov, where the Tampa Bay Lightning have basically sat Kucherov for the season, and he'll come back for the playoffs. That's basically what they're doing. And that way they could keep Anthony Cirelli, Mikhail Sergachev on their roster. So if the Islanders want, they could go out and get a Philip Forsberg for $6 million. Even though they are spending over the cap, the salary cap in terms of the cap from the league, technically the Islanders are still playing by the rules. If Lee misses the rest of the regular season, he does not count against the Islanders salary cap, especially on the long-term injured reserve. So the Islanders have $7 million to work with for getting a guy like Philip Forsberg, or potentially another depth defenseman, or a depth piece in general. So, interesting spot here for the New York Islanders. But guys, honestly, I have to admit, I really would like to see a guy like Philip Forsberg come to the Islanders. I think Kyle Palmieri is a nice fit, but he's going to come in cheaper, which is good. But the problem is he's not that high caliber goal scorer that the Islanders need. Kyle Palmieri has struggled the last 2 or 3 years in Jersey. And I know Lou Lamoriello has that tie with Kyle Palmieri because he's been with the Devils organization. That may come back to bite the Islanders in the ass, and I really hope they don't take Palmieri. I'd honestly like to see Arvidsson or Philip Forsberg from Nashville. I think those are the two highly sought-after pieces, and the Islanders, if they can get those guys in a year where they have been a top 5 team for really the past month, you cannot deny that the Islanders are becoming a legit team, and they have to get another goal scorer. And it's going to come at a price, guys. We might lose a guy like Bellows or Wahlstrom or Dobson or a first or a second next year. You look at the draft picks that the Islanders have. They have their first round pick for the next 3 years. They have Colorado's second this year and next. They don't have their own first round pick this year, the Islanders. They have their own second round pick next year and 3 years from now. And they have all their thirds, all their fourths, all their fifths, all their sixth, and all their seventh round picks. So the only pick for the next 3 years that the Islanders do not have is their second round pick. They have every other pick, and they also have 2 Colorado seconds for this year and next. So the Islanders have plenty of draft capital if they would like to spend it to potentially bring in talent to win now. And the Islanders window seems to be becoming right now. We're starting to see the Islanders become a legit franchise. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of the New York Islanders potentially going for a guy like Victor Arvidsson or Kyle Palmieri? We've heard the Philip Forsberg rumors the past couple months. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard Eric Staal up in Buffalo, Rickard Rakell out in Anaheim. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard those sort of names come out, potentially being linked to Lou Lamoriello's New York Islanders. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.